The concept that I was assigned is the competence to exercise the right to remain silent. Understanding the right to remain silent, it allows individuals to refuse to answer questions from law enforcement or court officials. It is a fundamental legal principle rooted in the Fifth Amendment that protects individuals from self-incrimination. It is the most commonly associated with the Miranda rights in the United States, which are read to suspects during an arrest. This right ensures that individuals are not compelled to provide evidence against themselves during police interrogations. How the right to remain silent works. It is in the legal basis, the right to remain silent is rooted in the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. Miranda warnings are usually read upon arrest by law enforcement officers, and they must inform individuals of their rights, including the right to remain silent. The implications are exercising the right means that anything said by the individuals cannot be used as evidence in the court unless they waive this right knowingly and voluntarily. Those two key points are what make the Miranda rights solid. The purpose is the protection aims to prevent coercive interrogations and ensure fair legal proceedings. What is competence? Competence or legal competence refers to the ability of an individual to understand and participate in legal proceedings. Cognitive ability, mental health, and understanding of the legal process are key aspects to understanding if somebody is competent to waive their right to remain silent. Competence to exercise the right to remain silent. Understanding the right, individuals must comprehend their right to remain silent and the implications of waiving this right. The assessment of competence is when legal professionals may assess whether a person is competent to make an informed decision about exercising the right. The legal standards for competence. The Dusky Standard refers to Supreme Court case Dusky v. United States, which set the standard for determining competency to stand trial. Assessment methods that are usually used or typically used to understand if somebody is legally competent is psychological evaluations, interviews, and standardized testing. There are a number of significant court cases that fall in line with the right or waiving the right to remain silent. There are Brown versus Mississippi, Miranda v. Arizona, and Rhode Island versus Innis. In Brown versus Mississippi in 1936, the Supreme Court vacated convictions of 3 African-American defendants whose signature was written on confessions to murder that had been extorted through physical torture and hanging and severe beating. Miranda v. Arizona held that once the Miranda warnings are provided, any subsequent statements will be inadmissible unless they were uttered knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily. Like a previous slide mentioned, those 3 things. This relied heavily on the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination as a ground for excluding confessions, which is now the principal constitutional basis for regulating police interrogations. Rhode Island versus Innis. In 1980, the Supreme Court found admissible the confession of a defendant who was persuaded to reveal the location of a murder weapon by police conversation to the effect if the weapon was not found, innocent children would find it. Miranda v. Arizona is one of the landmark cases for this concept. Unless suspects undergo custodial interrogation and are given the mandated Miranda warnings, any statements they make are usually inadmissible. If defendants are instructed about their rights, subsequent statements are still not admissible unless the defendant knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily waive them. Interrogations must cease if a defendant says that he or she does not want to talk or invokes the right to counsel in any manner or any stage in the process. The Miranda rule does not apply to interviews in the home, questioning after stops for a traffic arrest, and certain types of questioning that occur at the police station, specifically when the questioning does not represent the functional equivalent of arrest. For a relevant news article in 2022, the Supreme Court stated that suspects who are not warned about their right to remain silent cannot sue police officers for damages under federal civil rights law, even if the evidence was ultimately used against them in their criminal trial. This article was posted by CNN. We were assigned to make a discussion question. So mine for this concept is, how should the legal system balance the need to protect individuals' rights when ensuring that those who are not competent to exercise their right to remain silent receive fair treatment? And here are my citations.